I'm Sumesh Vadera, the Chief Editor of the Art of Jewelry magazine, and we have with us Mr. P.R. Somsundaram, the Regional CEO, World Gold Council India. And welcome, Mr. Som,
Thank you, Sumesh.
and congratulations on this your new designation of a Regional CEO to start with. And my first question is regarding WGC and GJPC have announced a strategic partnership for the generic gold jewelry marketing recently in India. Tell us more about this initiative.
Yes, thank you very much. Yeah, we have entered into an agreement, and this is about generic gold category campaign. It doesn't speak about a particular brand. It speaks about gold jewelry to the millennials. We have been talking about the generic gold campaign for some years now. Ever since, as a World Gold Council, we saw the trends of jewelry demand, particularly since demonetization. We have been saying that, look, the marketing has to change because the government is going to actually push policy towards more transparency. It is not going to be like in the past. And transparency will create a level playing field. And therefore, the marketing language also has to change. And we did a consumer survey, and we realized a few insights about how consumers think about jewelry, the marketing, etc. So rising out of that, what we thought was this: there must be a general gold category campaign, which positions gold in the mind of millennials as a very modern, contemporary investment, a gifting. It's not this. It doesn't take away what their mothers have been doing. What it says is it gives a new meaning to the gifting process. You know, millennials are more spontaneous. So what we said is, let's now position it in the minds of the millennials the way it should be. The beautiful handcrafted pieces, which all appeal to the youngsters, should be probably positioned better than just, as I said, a wedding jewelry, because we see a lot of that already on the TV, in the press, etc. But then in that, we might miss some insightful interventions. And that is what this campaign is supposed to do.
So could you tell us more about this campaign in terms of the size, how much you plan to spend in the media, and when it will be launched?
Well, yes, I can speak about a few of those things. As I said, we certainly will be launching it this week. Friday is when we are planning to launch it officially. It will have a few films. It will be on all channels: TV, print media, of course, digital. It will be even on OTT platforms. So it is, as I said, it will also have quite a lot of influencers talking about their experiences with gold and how they have perceived it. So it's a multifaceted campaign, and it will target various relationships in the modern lives. It's not just about a couple. It is about it's about a brother, sister. It is about father, daughter. So it's got various dimensions to it, which makes our life very rich about it, and which makes also gold intervene in family situations more than what we generally see during weddings. So we plan to do it till December. We will work with GJPC. As I said, we are here not partnering with any particular brand. We want to partner with the industry association, and GJPC is our partner. We will probably extend this with the support of the industry and with probably different models next year, but that all depends on how this first two bursts go through. The first burst, as I said, will start this July and probably extend through to August. And the second one will start during the Diwali campaign. So in terms of the amounts, Sumesh, I won't be able to obviously share the amount, but I can tell you it has got, as I said, it's got at least 4 films, or showing different moments when gold becomes extremely relevant in a millennial's life. It speaks to the millennials in their language, is what we would see through these campaigns.
Great. It sounds very interesting, and we look forward to watch and to see those ad campaign films and the digital media what you're going to roll out. And I think it is after a very long time the industry is going to get a support of a generic gold campaign, which was quite missing for almost, I think, as per my knowledge, more than 10 years. So that's a great initiative, and we are looking forward to it. We'll come back to you for more details on this campaign once it is launched. But meanwhile, last year, Mr. Som, I believe you have this Retail Gold Insights India Jewelry Report. You have done a very exhaustive report on India. And what are the key findings? I think younger women are buying gold, and they are interested in gold, not just for the family, but for independent purchases. Some more insights could you share?
Yes. You see, this was an exercise, a study we did across key global markets. It included India, China, US. So it spoke to the millennials, it spoke to the various consumers to look at, as I said, what are the buying occasions, what drives buying behaviors, what has changed. So a couple of important things for India is, and also of course China, is that the millennials like gold, but there is a risk that they may be turning indifferent towards it. Now, I'm paraphrasing many insights into this. So it's not that they don't like gold, but it is not like during our parents' time that it was the go-to investment when you start spending money. There are a lot more options now. So they are probably turning a little indifferent towards it. And also, we did see that there were more occasions where the millennials would like probably, we consider their own. It is not just fixed by our, cultural development over centuries. If you see, there were certain things, when a child is born, the first year gifting, weddings, and then, certain other occasions, they were all predetermined in our life. Whereas for a millennial, they were more turning very spontaneous. They are finding newer occasions to celebrate. Experiences, for instance, are becoming very, very important. So while I would not say that they were moving away from gold, what we found was that, particularly for India, the earlier association, strong association, probably was not there in the millennials' lives. So, and one of the reasons also is the fact that the marketing language was always about, a wedding or about, price discounts. So it wasn't speaking very well. So the study itself showed us a lot of insights, as you rightly said. But the key amongst that was that we decided that we should focus on millennials. So that is the marketing campaign is an outcome of that study, actually.
Right. Yeah, very true. We see that even shift in that retailers, their ad campaign is much more now younger models. They're talking, more, what should we say, language, which is peppy language and not like a traditional old ads. We have seen a shift, especially from the brands I've seen in Reliance and Tanishq. Coming to my next question, Mr. Som, regarding this, WGC had launched Gold Retail Principle, which is mainly focusing on the code of conduct for the trade. I think is going to be formally launched or the work in progress. Could you share us more on that?
Yeah, very good question. I'm glad you picked it up because it's still not been made fully public. I'll give you a very interesting fact here. The entire RGIP, Retail Gold Investment Principles, which is to create a kind of a code of conduct for the retail industry as a whole, started with India. It was when David was here and he was talking and he was interacting with the associations, when they actually asked him a few questions and said, why don't we do it this way, etc., the idea actually germinated here. It's very interesting to know. It is us who put the thought in David's mind, and which we obviously progressed well. And now it is a global project. So we should actually lead this project. That is, it's karma that we should lead this project. What does it mean? What it says is you have various institutions, etc. So the institutional market on gold, it is developing. Clearly, there are institutions addressing that, like LBMA, World Gold Council, various bodies. But when it comes to the retail part, actually, individual countries do their own, individual geographies, individual regions, they do their own. There isn't one umbrella organization or umbrella framework which connects the retailers. With the result, one of the important insight was that the trust is missing. You asked me a question earlier, which I missed actually answer. One of the things that came out was the barrier to gold buying in the modern age, and it came out across many geographies, is trust. That was a big barrier. Okay. And we realized, like, the point is, retailers do fantastic service. They made gold available at every nook and corner of the country, and various other countries as well. They bring lovely designs, but somewhere the trust is missing. Somewhere the millennials' trust in gold is missing. It's not as great as you have with a branded product like the electronics, or whatever it is. So to build the trust, we said that why don't we have a retail principle? That is, all the retailers who choose to be part of this will subscribe to a set of principles, the retail gold investment principles. And once you subscribe to that principle, you can, obviously it is in still development phase. Once you become part of that network, whether you are based in India or you are based in any other part of the world, it doesn't matter. Right? You are part of a trusted network of retailers. Now, when it came to India, obviously we said, look, the principles are good, but the global principles, they don't change. But when you have to interpret it differently for the, for the smaller jewelers, when I say differently, you have to interpret it for the jewelers through a code of conduct. That is where we formed a committee. There was a industry committee, about 40 people. We went through the entire, set of, principles, and we have now come out with a code of conduct for jewelers, for manufacturers, for refiners, for assay centers, for digital providers. So we have now got a set of code of conduct, which we will be launching very soon through a trade event. But the idea is to connect retailers across the globe to improve trust amongst consumers, which we saw was actually a barrier to gold investments.
Just a follow-up question on this. Will there be any fees for them to become a part of this umbrella body? And when you are likely to launch it? You said very soon, some tentative month?
We could have launched it. Okay, first of all, will there be a fee for it? That degree of operational details have not been fixed yet because it is left to the industry committee. The committee will also have a self-regulatory organization. So we are looking at an SRO, which the industry will form, which will then determine all the questions that you have said. As we speak, we are engaging the industry to go through the design, the framework, and how can we work through this. It will actually assist the government in various initiatives as well to improve trust. Will there be a fee? That's up to the industry committee to see. At the moment, we haven't really come into that level, but certainly it will be a voluntary code of conduct which will be managed by the industry itself through its own self-regulatory organization. Yes. What was the second question, Sumesh?
The launching period.
Yes.
When are you likely to launch?
Yes, the launching. We did plan to launch it, in April. We were quite ready with lots of discussions with industry, etc. But unfortunately, we had these lockdowns. So we have got this marketing campaign launch, which has come in. So we would probably look at the launch in quarter 4. That's the plan now.
Right.
But it all depends on how this COVID and the lockdowns, how they actually whether they become bigger or they disappear.
Great. My last two questions. The one is on in the burning issue. The mandatory hallmarking is finally kicked off in India. From the 16th of June, we have seen the government has approved 256 districts for this initiative. And how do you see the impact of such a big, move which has been postponed and delayed for so many years, and how it is going to transform and impact the industry?
Well, as you know, Sumesh, World Gold Council was involved in hallmarking right from 2000 and onwards. In fact, from 1999, when it was actually brought into India, we have worked with the Bureau of Indian Standards, we have worked with the government to make it a reality. So as far as we are concerned, we're very happy to see that now it has finally been made mandatory. We also believe that it hasn't come a day too soon. I think we have worked with this for 20 years now. It's time for us to do it. And we are one of the last markets to make it mandatory. And I spoke to you about trust, which came out starkly clear that, people like gold, but there is a lack of trust. 48% of the people said that we don't buy gold because there is a lack of trust, So it's very important that as an industry, mandatory hallmarking is adopted. So the question of purity is out of the way. It's no longer a subject matter for discussion. What is for discussion is what kind of innovation do we do for the consumers, etc. Now, we believe it is good for even the smaller players, because today what is happening is a big brand in India, the first thing you go to a big brand for is, yes, it is also the design, but it's also about trust. We know the big names. Now, when mandatory hallmarking is really enforced and there is a lot of credibility about it, it doesn't matter whether it is small or big. I am now going to go to that jeweler for other stuff like service, the designs, the whatever, all that stuff. So in my opinion, I think small jewelers will benefit once the system stabilizes. But clearly, what we see is that there are probably some operational issues, some teething problems, etc., which always happens. And it has also come when we are just being affected by lockdown. So a lot of factors have actually contributed to a sense of unease amongst the trade. But overall, I think it's a very, very positive step. We also believe that you can't become a big export-driven market in jewelry. A jeweler to the world is our ambition, without having mandatory hallmarking. You can't say, I will supply excellent products to the other countries, but when it comes to India, leave it to us, we'll manage the consumers. You can't have a dichotomous approach like that.
Great. I think, I fully agree with your views that this is, as you rightly said, brought the quality out of the questions of the consumer's mind, and now industry can move and actually from here grow further. All right. The last question is regarding the gold consumption, because you as a WGC, you track the gold imports and the gold consumption figures in India. Considering the pandemic and the second wave, how has been the gold consumption trend so far in 2021?
Yeah, 2021, the quarter 1 started well, as you know, but it was on a very small base still, because even quarter 1 2020, while it was not affected by pandemic, the last week was a lockdown 2020. But if you really look at it, it saw a very high price, because of which it was a very low demand. So compared with that, it was a growth. But second quarter has been I wouldn't say complete washout. Last year was a complete washout. This year, there were definitely lockdown impacted many parts of the country, but still it's not as bad as last year. But having said that, overall first half, we will be coming out with our GDT very soon, so I can't disclose the figures, but it is not going to be a very great revival. Let's put it like that. Okay. Having said that, what we expect is that with the prices now hovering around 48, 50, it went up to 55, it again softened. and with lockdowns easing, and with people having had no chance to probably expend monies on other experiences like travel or shopping in other ways, etc., I think you will find in savings would in some sections of the population savings would have increased. And with stock markets being what they are and gold prices softening, there is definitely a good latent demand here. So you should see gold industry benefiting once this lockdown vaccination increases and there is a little more confidence about it. Having said that, how would 2021 be? 2020 was one of the lowest years. 2021, you may see a spike during the Diwali season. However, it is very much linked to how vaccination progresses and how the so-called third wave, which we have been told is inevitable, how that pans out in the country. Now, you could have a third wave without massive hospitalization because vaccinations improved, or you could have a third wave which is as risky as the second wave. Now, depending on that, you will see that the demand coming back. My forecast is there is definitely a lot of demand for gold, which will get unlocked. It could happen in Q4. It could happen in 2022. But from here, we are going to see quite a lot of gold demand coming back, because also people are now getting used to 45,000, 50,000 price. Mentally, you have accepted that price band. So there is, from here on, I think there will be a spike. Whether it happens in Q4 and extends into 22, or it starts in 22 is something we have to wait and see.
Wonderful. Thank you very much for those valuable insights and giving us your time. Thank you, Mrs. Soom.
Thank you, Suresh. Thank you.